What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and I just spent the last couple hours playing the Soulcalibur VI beta, because this is a game I've been very intrigued by ever since I saw the initial teaser trailers. Mostly because, obviously, it's a sequel to a fighting franchise that started back on the Dreamcast, so of course I have to love it. So I played the first games a lot, but as this series went on, I sorta lost interest as they tried to introduce a lot of weirder characters and try and reinvent certain aspects of the combat. But I can safely say that Soulcalibur VI is a complete return to form. This is honestly now my favorite game in the entire series since Soulcalibur II. Now, this doesn't have any of the super special characters that had, like you're not going to be seeing Link from The Legend of Zelda or Heiichi Mishima, but what we are getting is some weirder people thrown in, like in this case, Geralt of Rivia from Witcher 3. Now, this is the first person I wanted to try out because he's so exceedingly different from everybody else in this entire lineup, and he works very well. He's one of those people that when you first start off, it's a little bit odd, because this definitely functions with the exact same setup as all the other Soulcaliburs, which I like to call the 4-button combo system. You really only have 4 moves: vertical slash, horizontal slash, kick, and block. Now, of course, you're doing combinations of these to do things like grabs, uppercuts, and super ultimate moves, but really, it comes down to just those 4 buttons. So trying to unleash all of Geralt's wide capabilities of skills, like his sigils and all sorts of magic, I was a little bit worried that they would try and make him feel a little bit too samey to other slow, heavy characters like Mitsurugi, but he doesn't. He feels unique enough, and this is something that really carried over to the entire roster. So I went into this pretty optimistic that this would be something that would try and change things up slightly, but really, the only major addition they've done to this feels like the super move system. So now, there is much more of an obvious emphasis on trying to unleash these giant power attacks. You basically build them up by taking damage, making it where if you're losing a bunch of rounds in a row, you sort of get an opportunity to try and make up that lost ground since, well, obviously you're going to be getting hit more than your opponent and therefore be able to carry out these giant attacks to make things a little bit more balanced. Now, I think these are cool, but I didn't find myself using them very much. This could be partially because of the fact that I like the combo system so much already that I was just using my normal moves and not feeling myself relying on these attacks, but I do think that they're just a little bit too difficult to pull off. You know, I was thinking a little bit about Tekken. So the newest Tekken started to introduce a lot of things where when you're low health, you can do a giant super attack to try and take your enemy down before you die. And here, I think that's the idea that they had in mind, except it doesn't feel as readily accessible. Now, that's not really a detriment. I just wish that it was something that was a little bit easier, like you just had to press down, forward, and 2 buttons, the way it sort of works in like Street Fighter. When you are able to pull these off, though, they are some very huge and very fancy strikes, making it where you throw people around and unleash a lot of your biggest, most cool, unique talents. And I think that's cool, but really, I think that the subtle tweaks they've done to each individual fighter is way more important. I definitely noticed that they did things like sped up Maxi, slowed down characters that were a little bit slow already like Nightmare and gave him more damage and more knockbacks. Whereas other people like Mitsurugi, he definitely seems like they've been given a lot more talents for trying to juggle people and keep them in the air long enough to try and fight back. All of this is so cool, and I really went through each and every character kind of just getting a chance to try and learn all the subtle motions that they've changed about them, and they've definitely given us a good chance to really see what the heck this game is about. In the beta, we had access to 16 different characters, and I'm not exactly sure how many are going to be in the final game, but I assume that this is probably maybe 80% of the final roster, and it's fantastic. Not a single one of the people on this list feels weak, and some of them feel downright overpowered ever so slightly, but in a way that feels nice, like Kilik. I haven't played him much since back in the day, but I like the fact that now he has this demon form that lets him unleash his special, that lets him unleash his inner demons and really ramp up his attack power and introduce new moves into his skill set. Now this is extra cool to me because it feels like they've tried to do things like making it where every character has at least one fine detail that completely overhauls how they operate. And that's so cool because it ends up making it where this very much, at the end of the day, feels exactly like the Soulcaliburs of the past. This is easily one of the best games in the entire franchise, and I've just started playing it, but it now makes me think about stuff they may do with downloadable content, or what patches will do to try and introduce different fighters later on, and further changes to make it where the online play stays really sharp. But we do need to talk about this because here we have the one major drawback that kind of shocked me. So for this beta, it is online only, making it where you're just competing against other random opponents online. I'm totally cool with that, and I actually won almost every single match I had. But here's the issue: I noticed that everything appears to be a peer-to-peer connection, meaning that you're just going through the internet to connect to somebody else's console or PC. Now, this is normally a system that works relatively smoothly because it makes it where the server itself is only trying to calculate one person's actions. It's basically just communicating back and forth what your opponent is doing while keeping track of what you're doing. But here, something seems to be massively wrong. So as I'm talking, I'm sure you've noticed that this fight is a very weird thing to even see, because both of us seem to be stuttering in place. And this ended up really killing the pacing because getting a combo in this game does take some incredibly sharp timing. Being able to throw somebody up in the air, or try and break their guard, or smash off part of their shielding, this requires you use the correct move at the correct time. And even a couple frames of delay can cost you dearly. And here, for some reason, this entire match, we were both lagging so bad, it was a stuttering slideshow. While I did end up winning almost every single round of it, it still felt like I beat this guy unfairly because we were both just trying to play this game through pure molasses. I have high hopes that they'll be able to patch this, but it does make me initially a little bit put off, and I can definitely say that when I buy this game at launch, I'm certainly going to be playing the single player first, trying out the challenge modes and doing stuff like the custom characters before I go into online, because I have a strong feeling that if it's messing up this badly the first day of the beta, it could have some serious issues when it comes to more people actually flooding the servers. I have to say that overall, I'm very impressed by what Soulcalibur VI is aiming to be. This was really a smart choice because, honestly, they tried to go a little bit too big with some of the previous entries. They put in so many characters that I personally didn't care for, and eventually they sort of just lost the magic that made the early games so fantastic. So I'm glad that this seems like it's trying to really narrow things down. Give the fans the characters they want to play as, give us the courses we want to see, and give us the tweaks to combat that make this even more amazing than it's ever been. Hopefully we see a little bit of a cool training mode implemented, that way other people can get as good as a lot of these people online. I want to make sure that this manages to really thrive and take off. And this is one of the first times where I've played a beta, and I'm already imagining the fact that this is going to be at EVO and be up on the big stage. I'm hyped just to see how incredibly talented people are going to get during the course of this game's lifespan. But for now, I guess we just gotta wait until that upcoming release date. But what did you think about it? Did you get a chance to really experiment with the Soulcalibur VI beta, and did you win any rounds? What was your favorite fighter, and tell me why in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. I just want to note here at the end that I purposely did not mention any of the stuff involving the Day 1 DLC controversy, since this is just a beta. Right now I just wanted to make sure the game actually plays decently before we dive into the fact that certain characters appear to be behind paywalls as soon as the game comes out as like on-disc DLC. So in the future you'll definitely see that. Wait for my full review though. Oh, hey, I was just playing a little bit of Grand Theft Auto on my Darth Vader PSP. Are you curious what I'm going to come out with next? Well, if you click this button, you'll be subscribed to be the first to know. Also, if you click over here and here, you can see my latest review and my latest top 10. I promise, it was super good. Or it was really bad and I'm sure you can just make fun of me in the comments. Either way, it'll be a lot of fun. Thanks so much for watching.